General Hospital teasers reveal that Marco Rios will be kidnapped between July 14th and 18th. But who will be the perpetrator? Sonny Corinthos or an unknown enemy seeking Jen Sidwell? All the arrows lead to Sonny pressing the button on this. After all, he's made it plain that Sidwell will not get away with his latest fire attack on Charlie's pub, which might have been a lot worse for Christina Corinthos Davis. In reality, the General Hospital preview for the week of July 14th depicts Sonny telling Sidwell that his son is fair game, only to cut to a scene with Marco bound to a chair and gagged in an unknown and ominous warehouse. Still, viewers understand that Sonny is a terrible criminal who has done some heinous things in the past, but he has always been above punishing the innocent, and he knows Marco is innocent in all of this. Marco should not be held liable for his father's actions, therefore while Sonny may make a threat that worries Sidwell, his method may be all bark and no bite. There are numerous unknowns in this plot. While many fans believe Sidwell was responsible for Sonny's penthouse explosion, this has yet to be verified. Following the Charlie's pub fire, Jason noted that this incident was considerably more sloppy than the firebomb at Sonny's condo that nearly killed Michael Corinthos earlier this year. This suggests that an undiscovered threat to Sonny may still be lurking. However, starting a battle with Sonny's enemy would be the ideal way to keep the mafia leader distracted, so that another hit might occur. So is it possible that Sonny isn't responsible for Marco's kidnapping? Of course, even if Sonny swore to Sidwell that he wasn't responsible for Marco's disappearance, would Sidwell trust him? This would create the ideal scenario for someone to target Sonny. Not only could they attack him and his family at any time, but they'd also have the help of Sidwell, who is bound to retaliate against the mob boss once Marco returns to Windmere safe and sound. General Hospital spoilers suggest that Sonny may have kidnapped Marco to teach Sidwell not to mess with him. However, in the land of Port Charles, viewers must always be prepared for a plot twist, so there is also the possibility that a third party is involved, pitting Sidwell and Sonny against each other for their own reasons. Tracy and Nina gather in the Courtemain sunroom for afternoon tea. Nina is astonished she phoned her because they are not friends. Tracy has an offer for her that will benefit both of them. Tracy reveals that she does not want Gio to become any closer to Sonny than he is currently, because Sonny's family is frequently affected as a result of his profession. Tracy urges Nina to utilize her media connections to persuade people to vote yes on Measure C. Nina argues that, at his heart, Sonny is a nice man and forcing him to leave town could result in someone worse replacing him. Tracy doesn't care since she's only concerned about Joe's safety, recalling what happened to Christina, Michael, and poor Morgan. Tracy knows Nina once cared about Sonny, but she reminds her that her grandkids are also related to Sonny, so she believes Nina would want him gone for their own safety. Nina claims that some incentive is required to compete with Sonny. She thinks if Tracy can persuade Michael to let Willow visit her children, she could agree to her proposal. Tracy admits that she misread her generosity and assumed she could wring a favor from her. So they'll do it the hard way. Tracy informs Nina that she will either speak out against Sonny or tell Willow that she slept with Drew behind her back. Nina wonders where Tracy came up with such a concept. Tracy quotes the PI Ned hired, who recorded Cody's drunken outburst at the Brown Dog, revealing their affair. Nina claims Drew and Willow were not a couple at the time, as their relationship was transient and meaningless. Tracy chuckles, saying she sounds like every cheating spouse who has ever lived. So, will she defend Sonny or continue her connection with Willow? Nina observes Tracy has been at odds with Drew for months. Why hasn't she used this against him? Tracy felt it would be better used against her, and they plan to promote the notion that Nina understood how dangerous Sonny was and left him. If she does not play ball, she will lose Willow. Nina storms off, saying to herself, "I won't forget this, Tracy, you just messed with the wrong bitch." Michael moves against Willow at the hospital. Willow greets Michael and Sasha. She sees Daisy and figures they're there for a checkup. She asks Michael how her children are doing. Michael claims Amelia is well, but she has caused Wiley to become unhappy and confused. Willow claims they are her children and do not need to be safeguarded from her, and warns Sasha that it is only a matter of time before Michael attempts to remove her from Daisy. Michael becomes enraged and informs Willow that she is the one who upset Wiley and violated the rules. Wiley's cries served as a reminder that she cannot be trusted with him or Amelia. He had Diane call the court, and the visitation hearing was rescheduled for October. Willow cries, saying he can't do it since another 3 months is an eternity. Michael encourages her spend the opportunity to get her life in order before leaving Drew. She refuses to leave Drew and asks Sasha how she can allow Michael to do this to her. They were once pals, so why isn't she speaking out as someone who has lost a child? Deanna interrupts, telling Sasha that she is prepared for them, and that she has heard they are going on an overseas excursion. Willow advises Michael that he should not take her children out of the country. Michael swears he is not. Daisy has been checked out by Michael and Sasha, and she is ready to fly. Sasha hopes it didn't have to be this way, and she wishes Michael could be more involved in his daughter's life. Michael feels confident that this is the right move, and that whoever is targeting Daisy is most likely motivated by him and his father. He laments that he will miss Daisy. Where is Marco? Lucas tells Carly that Sonny has abducted him from Marco's unoccupied room at the Metro Court. Carly claims he is leaping to conclusions, but he explains that this is why he asked her to speak with Sonny. Carly claims she did, and he told her to stay out of it. Lucas says he'll go to the church to see if he's there, but they both realize it's a long shot. Drew makes a threat. Carly returns home and leaves a message for Sonny regarding Lucas and his concerns about Marco. Drew then shows up at her home, and she tells him she does not want to deal with him today. Drew advises her listen to him, as this is her only chance to save her grandchildren. Drew asks her to speak with Michael about letting Willow see her children. Carly adds Willow has a visitation court in a few weeks. Perhaps she can prove she deserves to see her children then. Drew will not wait weeks, so either she persuades Michael to let Willow see her children, or things will become ugly. Drew says he's willing to do whatever to help Willow see her children. Carly reminds him that he may leave her, as Michael will allow Willow to see the children while he is not around. Drew insists that will not happen. Carly claims Willow has repeatedly demonstrated that being with him is more important than being with her own children. Drew cautions Carly that if Michael does not change his position, he would have to go on the offensive. Carly tells him that, unlike Willow, she is not impressed by his chest thumping. Drew warns her that Michael's refusal to compromise will cost him everything. Drew walks away. Marco's locked up at the warehouse. Marco yells from his locked-up room, claiming that Sonny is making a mistake and that if anything happens to him, his father will seek revenge. Jason informs an acquaintance outside Marco's room that he's irritating, but this place is really quiet, so let him yell. Jason has to leave, but he instructs the other man not to leave this door or allow Marco escape. What does Sonny want from Sidwell? Sidwell approaches Sonny in the church and inquires about Marco's status. Sonny thinks he should be asking, "How do I get my son home safely?" Sidwell believes if this is vengeance for the fire at his daughter's bar, his sources say Selena Wu was behind it. Sonny accuses him of framing her in retaliation for not selling his peers. He dislikes involving children, but his daughter nearly died, so he considers his son fair game. Sonny claims that if Marco is in danger, it is due of Sidwell rather than himself. Sidwell reminds Sonny that Marco saved Christina from the fire. Sonny informs Sidwell that he brought his son into this, so get him out. He tells Sidwell to clean up the political disaster and then get the hell out of the way. Sidwell claims that Sonny has alienated Port Charles, which is why he will lose his peers. Sonny cautions Sidwell that if he doesn't find anything to do, he'll never see his son again. Sonny orders him to withdraw his support for Measure C, to halt Ezra Boyle and Drew Kane's efforts against him, and to end the media attacks on him and Laura. Sidwell maintains that he has no influence over what the media reports. Sonny proposes that he figure out how to accomplish it then, because both he and Marco are counting on him to come through. Lucas demands answers. Lucas approaches the church and confronts Jason, who is standing guard at the entryway. He inquires as to whether Marco is present, but Jason responds that Sonny is speaking with Sidwell. Lucas assumes Sonny is in there and informs Sidwell that he has seized Marco. Lucas begs Jason to disclose the truth. Is Marco about to die, or has he already died? Jason says he cannot have this conversation with him. Lucas cries that it is wrong to bring innocent people into this battle. Jason claims Sidwell did this by going after Christina. Lucas wants to know when this will end. What if Sidwell targets Avery, Donna, or Danny? Lucas claims that despite their talk of honor, innocent blood will be on his hands, and he and Sonny will be no better than Sidwell. Sonny walks out at that point and confronts Lucas. Lucas begs Sonny not to hurt Marco. He threatens Sonny that if Marco does not show up alive, he would inform the authorities about his agreement with Natalia and intentions to relocate her outside of the country. Sonny refuses to tell them anything they don't know, so Lucas threatens to go to Drew. Sonny tells Lucas to do whatever he needs to. Sidwell, alone in the church, looks at Natalia's image. Lucas goes in, and Sidwell informs him that Sonny has Marco, and he must interfere to save his son. Outside, Sonny assures Jason that Sidwell has received the message and understands what he needs to do. Jason claims Marco is safe and secure, but has no idea where he is. Back at the warehouse, Marco notices a chair and begins yelling that he has diabetes and needs to eat something to regulate his blood sugar. The guard puts on a mask, grabs his weapon, and unlocks the door. Marco enters and smashes him over the head with the chair. In the show's last moments, Sonny arrives to Carly's, having received her message. She informs him of Lucas' anxieties and inquires as to Marco's whereabouts. Sonny tells her that it's none of her business. She begs him to reconsider, as more people will be injured in the end. At the chapel, Lucas informs Sidwell that Sonny and Lucas are not listening to him. He doesn't have the ability to remedy things, therefore whatever Sonny wants from Sidwell, he should give him. He claims that setting fire to Charlie's placed Marco under suspicion. Sidwell accuses Lucas of siding with Sonny, and claims that Sonny is responsible for Natalia's death. Lucas claims to be on Marco's side and trusts Sidwell with his life. Lucas storms out. Jason arrives at the warehouse and inquires about the incident with his associate, who has been battered. He claims it was nothing he couldn't manage. Marco is now bound to the chair and gagged. Sasha and Daisy discover Nina waiting in the Quartermain kitchen. She inquires as to what brought her here. Nina explains that she had a meeting with Tracy and decided to hang over to say hi. Sasha is pleased she did because she and Daisy are leaving Port Charles and need to say goodbye. Michael talks to Tracy in the sunroom. He claims Yuri indicated she was seeking for him. Tracy said she is taking steps to ensure that this family is not harmed again. Michael says he is, and he is sending Daisy away to keep her safe. He is about to lose his daughter. Drew arrives at the hospital after receiving a worried message from Willow. She laments to him over Michael's hearing being postponed. Drew assures her that they will soon have everything they need to permanently remove the children from Michael's custody. Drew promises Willow on the next episode of General Hospital that they would give Michael a taste of his own medicine. Nina informs Sasha that she is the reason Daisy is in danger. Michael asks, "What is keeping me from going with Sasha and my children?" Stella informs Curtis that she has a dispute with him. Portia breaks a photograph in her workplace and yells. Tracy has a request to make to Jason. Marco's disappearance occurred unexpectedly, and it shocked Port Charles to the core. The instant his absence was established, murmurs began to circulate through every corridor of the underworld, pointing fingers at opposing clans and reigniting ancient feuds. But no one felt the weight more than Sonny Corinthos, who understood what this type of maneuver entailed. It was not a random abduction, it was a purposeful and loud message. And whoever sent it had established a battle line. First there were just inquiries. Where had Marco gone? Was it merely a shake-up or something more sinister? Sonny wasted little time organizing his troops. Jason, Dex, and even Spinelli were brought in, each with a unique perspective on surveillance technology and boots-on-the-ground interrogation. Carly caught wind soon and cautioned Sonny not to jump too fast. But Sonny had already gotten past it. This was personal. Marco had been working as a low-level runner in Sonny's group, nothing special. But he was loyal, dependable, and most crucially, his uncle's name was Leo Sidwell, a quiet but calculated name from the opposite side of town. For years, the Sidwells had stayed to themselves, preferring to launder money through real estate rather than fight in the streets. Nonetheless, Marco's presence in Sonny's life had always felt like a potential disaster, especially because Leo had never completely supported his nephew's involvement with the Corinthos Mafia. Marco was now gone, and Leo Sidwell was not receiving calls. That's when the suspicions moved to action. Sonny didn't believe Leo had taken his own nephew. However, he believed that someone had organized everything to put the two powerhouses against each other. The question was, who stood to benefit? As Sonny contacted old friends and tapped his network for information, something darker began to emerge beneath the surface. Port Charles, which was constantly seething with latent tensions, began to see increasingly unpredictable behavior. A warehouse owned by the Sidwells inexplicably burned down. The Corinthian safe house was raided in broad daylight. It was no longer subtle, it was wartime. Diane asked Sonny to step back. A full-scale mob battle in Port Charles might have disastrous effects. But Sonny's blood was seething. He remembered Morgan being trapped in a similar crossfire years before. This time, he swore, he'd battle them before anyone else died. His instincts informed him that Marco was still alive. But time was passing quickly. Meanwhile, Jordan and Chase couldn't ignore what was going on, even though they didn't have concrete evidence to link the occurrences. Jordan went to Sonny and tried to appeal to his reasonable side, reminding him of what was at stake. Sonny acted polite but provided nothing. The lines between legal and illegal were blurring by the second, and he didn't have time to explain himself. Jason, ever the quiet soldier, tracked down a source who claimed to have witnessed Marco being carried into a black SUV on the outskirts of town. The tip led to a rundown auto shop just outside the city boundaries. What they discovered was gruesome. Bloodstains, shredded cloth, and a burner phone left behind. Nobody is there. No Marco. However, it was enough to make Sonny clench his jaw and threaten revenge. Leo Sidwell eventually ended his silence. He arrived unannounced at Sonny's penthouse, accompanied by two of his top enforcers. He said he had not ordered Marco's kidnapping and accused Sonny of starting fires on Sidwell land to mask his tracks. The meeting erupted rapidly. Words became threats. Guns were drawn but not fired. Sonny made it clear to Leo that if Marco turned up dead, the Sidwell enterprise would be reduced to ashes. Days passed and mayhem ensued. The docks, which had historically served as a battlefield for territory, were tense. Two of Sonny's men were shot in an unexpected ambush. The shooters left a mark on the wall, a crude S symbol, but styled enough to indicate it wasn't the Sidwells. Someone was manipulating both sides. Christina noticed something wasn't right with her father. Sonny had been distant and colder than usual. She asked Carly, who simply remarked that now wasn't the time to delve too deeply. Nina, still trying to make her way back into Sonny's inner life, offered to assist. Sonny pushed her away, refusing to exhibit vulnerability even now. In the shadows, a third party was tugging strings. A man known simply as Reyes had recently moved in from Miami. A quiet but deadly tactician who thought Sonny and Leo were relics of a bygone era. Reyes desired the territory, network, and power and saw Marco as the ideal leverage. His strategy was straightforward. Frame each side, ignite the conflict, and rise from the ashes. Reyes kept Marco alive, but only barely. Marco found out part of the strategy while chained in a cellar, injured and dehydrated. He'd overheard Reyes talking to his guys, mentioning Sonny and Leo by name and even laughing about how easy it was to put them against one another. Marco attempted to fight back, but his strength was dwindling. He needed to be discovered. Carly ultimately persuaded Sonny to slow down, just long enough to see the larger picture. She reminded him that every conflict he'd ever fought had a cost, and that the ones in charge this time were counting on his rage. That made Sonny pause. He called Jason and advised him to change strategies. Instead of attacking Leo again, they planned to dig deeper. Spinelli traced the burner phone signal to a temporary cell tower installed on a specific plot of land outside Port Charles. Jason and Dex investigated and discovered a surveillance video at a gas station that captured the black SUV moving north, out into Reyes territory. The parts were finally falling into place. Meanwhile, Leo was making his own moves. He'd been following strange money transfers from one of his shell businesses, cash going into accounts he didn't recognize. With the assistance of his technology team, he identified the same name that Sonny's group had been circling, Reyes. Realizing they'd both been duped, Leo approached Sonny again with an offer. A truce lasting only long enough to bring Marco back and eliminate Reyes. It was a tenuous alliance, based on necessity rather than trust. Sonny and Leo planned a strike on a warehouse where Reyes was allegedly keeping Marco. The procedure was brutal. Guns were fired, guards were removed, and Jason broke through the basement door where Marco was discovered, barely alive but alive nonetheless. Sonny loomed over Marco's lifeless figure, his jaw clenched in wrath. He turned to Leo and said only one thing: "We're not done." However, the immediate war had ended. Reyes, however, escaped. "Yes, I was injured, but I am still alive." He vowed to return, but for the time being, he retreated underground. Sonny and Leo parted ways, both returning to their corners, scarred but still standing. Port Charles exhaled for the first time in several weeks. Although the streets were calmer, the anxiety persisted. Sonny stood at the docks that night, looking out at the sea, reflecting on the boundaries he'd almost crossed, the people he could have lost, and the battle that nearly engulfed them all. Jason approached from behind, asking what the next step would be. Sonny did not respond right away. He finally spoke quietly and confidently. "We watch. We wait. And we never let our guard down again." The war may have been paused, but everyone knew it was far from ended. Not with Reyes present. Not while the Sidwells are still breathing. And especially not with Marco's life irrevocably altered. Every decision from now on would come with a cost, and Sonny Corinthos would once again be forced to pay it.